Lebanon High School prior to, how many years ago?
71 it started.
All right, 71 you started. When did you?
Oh, 07. 07.
07. So prior to 07, if your kids went through, you probably heard about Mr. Pease. If you'd ever gone to a school meeting or to a some other town meeting in which there was some contention.
Move the question.
Everybody who is alive and well in Lebanon knows Arthur Pease and could hear him without going to the meeting, which is a wonderful, wonderful gift. Anyhow, our colleague, Art Pease.
Okay. I was looking around, I don't think there's the 3 or 4 of you that I either know as students or through your kids. So, or, you know, trading elbows on the basketball court, or, you know, various machinations. I was telling Jack, I guess, that some of these images I've probably shown 30 times or more between school and various other times. But anyway, the river point is that historically, the Mascoma River was a reason that a lot of the industries were where they are. You'll see a graphic in a minute that makes that pretty clear. Speaking of school, this was I don't remember who it was, this was a student's project at some point for Lebanon history. Makes a great monster, you know, it's sort of the ant monster. Mascoma Lake, Goose Pond. This is the drainage basin of the Mascoma. And so that's some of the others I can't see. I think that's Grafton Pond, Crystal Spectacle there. Anyway, some idea of what the Mascoma drains, and you've actually got the river going into the lake and then coming out of the lake, which is a little bit unusual. It seems like when you see on a map, they don't carry a river's name through a lake, but it happens to be. Sometimes along here, I'm going to kind of ask you where it is. This one kind of says. This is looking from at least one dam ago, and I'm not sure if it's one dam or 2 dams ago, but roughly in the same spot there at the mouth of the Mascoma Lake. This is that area, that big red barn up on the hill as you're going out towards Enfield. And this is the train station. This is probably the passenger station, the freight station, or the other way around, I'm not quite sure. This, I think, is an ice house. And I'm not certain about that. But here's roughly where we are. At some point, people in Lebanon, industrialists in Lebanon, controlled the dam here. I don't know how long that happened, but you can see why they would want to, because they could hold up water, so they've got enough through the fall, or through the late summer and fall.
Do you know when that picture was taken by chance?
And it doesn't say on there. I might have it somewhere. I'm going to guess it's 1910. It's in that vicinity. This is a picture kind of looking towards the lake. Here are those 2 railroad buildings there. The thing I like about this one, it's a kind of dark. Some of these are from postcards. If you look here, if you look right here, there's an inclined plane, which I'm sure is the way to get the ice from the lake up to the ice house. Okay, this was an ice house here, that they cut the ice on the lake, and that's how they would pull the ice up there. I've never seen any close-ups, but I know that's got to be what it is. At some point, this ice business, I think, was owned by the railroad. Although there were also times when I was, let's see, when was it? Fall of '57, when our house burned and I was living with my cousin. We came down here to Lebanon to pick up ice at the ice, at Ralph Millen's ice business where the new CCD is now. And I know at that point they were, I think at that point, bringing in ice from here, to the ice plant there. But I was telling Jack, I guess, I would expect to learn some things tonight. So some of these cases, if I'm way off, we'll do a little horseshoe number here and a little because I often don't know for sure what's going on. What's interesting here is, notice, here's the tracks, right along here, okay, this side of that building. And then, here are the tracks. Well, that building's gone, and there's a new one. So, I think this is still nice. This is a nice house. It was one that was built after, but I don't know for sure. I don't think there's anything left of any of these, whether there's even any foundation or anything.
Is that a water tower?
Yes, and I have assumed that that's for the railroad. You know, because it gets right by the tracks. Again, this is as close as I've got.
Are these from outside?
Excuse me?
Where do they take these?
Well, yeah, maybe, although it's awful close here, so I don't quite know where they get. I'm trying to think how steep the hill is there, you know, behind this farm, whether it's just up on there. I don't know much about the technology when they were taking a lot of these pictures, you know, I don't know how far they had to get away, what, you know. But this is, I think, essentially that big red barn that's there. Jack?
Is that where Paul Mason lived?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
It's that vicinity at least.
Yeah.
Well, he lives to the right on it.
Oh, he was where? He was over this way for,
One house over this.
oh, okay,
Before that. Yeah.
okay.
I knew it was close, yeah.
So again, this is going towards infield this way, this way.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's,
I think you showed it earlier, though, that earlier.
okay, this has got to be, this has got to be Route 4, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I'll link back to the rest, it's a wider view. I don't know, those are the three I have from there, so I don't know.
Same picture.
And this is, this comes from, and I'll mention now, one of the great resources for teaching Lebanon history was a guy named Edward Torber, who graduated from Dartmouth sometime in the 20s, and then got his, I think it was his PhD in geography at the University of Chicago. And his, well again, it's his master's or PhD thesis at the University of Chicago was called A Study of Land Utilization in Lebanon, New Hampshire. And the great thing is he had over 100 pictures, photographs that are all in there. And Dartmouth has either an or the original copy of it. And so I had a lot of slides of those, and some of these are, he has diagrams, but one of the things he did, it gives you a sense of what he went to. He had a map, he has a map, where he plotted every tree that was used as a boundary in the original lots in Lebanon, and the kind of tree it was. Because he was trying to get a sense of what the original forest looked like. But think about what that must have taken. Not people around there just looking through every deed and figuring out where every tree was and plotted them on this map. That's the kind of detail this guy did. But the thing about this, I don't know, here's Mascoma Lake out here. I cut off his connector here. And what this is showing you, if you ran a line from I think it's technically the top of the dam, let's say the top of the dam at Mascoma Lake. If you ran a straight line, you know, right across, here is how far it would be from the land up to that line. So that you get a sense. So here's, you know, a pretty gradual drop, and you've got a pretty good drop right here. This is beyond, there's where Stony Brook comes in. And then look right here. You've got a 70-foot drop in just such a little space. So where's that?
Like clean laundry there.
That's what?
Like clean laundry.
Well, yeah, downtown Lebanon, yes, clean laundry. Here's where Great Brook comes in at the foot of Water Street. So you can see why you put mills clustered right along there, because that's where you're going to get the steeper the drop, the better, the more force you've got behind the water. So initially, that was a reason for having things along there. And then the other thing that's interesting, towards the end, I'll show you about the water tower. This is about, I've forgotten which one it is, but this is along, we're going to say along the Glen Road where the dam is on the Glen Road. Roughly in here, I don't know which one of these figures it is. And then here's the mouth of it, the mouth of the Mascoma roughly. And you can see how much of a drop there is there. driving along the Glen Road, you wouldn't think of it going down very much. But it's about 65 feet drop, and I'll show you towards the end how I know it's about that much. This is East Lebanon. Ralph, is your house on there?
Yes, it is. Two chimneys right in the middle there.
How will I get there?
Gang Road.
Yeah, okay. Payne Road would be right along here.
Yes.
I think you had it right there.
Right there?
No,
Okay.
No.
Two chimneys by the
Across
lake.
the
Oh, the
street.
two chimneys.
There's
Oh, that
grass.
one? Okay, yeah. There's the covered bridge. I think that's
Yeah.
that's not the railroad bridge, it's further, that's the bridge. Right, yeah, that's the bridge from the outlet of the lake. So there was quite a little settlement here. I don't really have dates, 1785 sticks in my mind. This is obviously a lot later than that. But the original settlement in Lebanon was along the river, along the Connecticut. And then they skipped over central Lebanon, because it was too damn swampy. Okay, they didn't like malaria. They skipped over that and came out here to the mouth of Mascoma Lake. At one point, there was discussion of taking the corners of, let me see, Lebanon, Enfield, Dorchester, Canaan? Let's see. Lebanon, Enfield, Canaan, Hanover, and cutting those corners and making a separate town of those four corners out here by the industry. A guy named Elisha Payne, who was one of the, not the earliest settler, but one of the early important folks in the late 1700s in Lebanon, which is where Payne Road comes from, and Payne's Mills. This is, and I can't give you a perspective at all, but this is Payne's Mills. I mean, the picture's, I think, useful just in the sense that it's more than a little mill somewhere, you know, it's something pretty good sized complex at least. As I say, I don't have a direction. This is one that came from the historical side, and Ed probably could tell me a direction. But
What did they make, or what did they do? Wood, or?
I don't think he was doing iron work, so I think it's some sort of wood-based industries. Again, I don't know much about that. I know it was there, and that's about it. There were two or three other industries. One of the ones out there was this Emerson Edge Tool Company. Yeah, I don't have any pictures of that, but this is just, they made axes, and this one. You can read what they made as well as I read it to you. This was going to up to Brighton, Maine. It says he put it in a box to D.H. Ratliff and Skowhegan. The box will be marked Brighton. He's got a half dozen wedges and a half dozen, I don't know if they're both wedges, I'm not quite sure what it is, but something that they're making here at the Emerson Edge. And I've got back there, I've got a scythe blade back there. It was made by Mascoma Tool Company, which is a successor to Emerson.
When did East Lebanon go out of existence?
Well, I mean, this is, you see, 1890s, I mean, they're still doing a little bit there, but by the 1820s, 1830s, you're starting to get people moving into downtown Lebanon, and by the 1850s, that's where the action is. So I think probably gradually, again, this company stayed here. If I remember right, Mascoma Tool was in Lebanon, and you know they bought out these folks at some point, maybe around this time. Okay, I've got quite a few of this set of slides. They're from, I think it's a 1963 set of aerial photos of Lebanon that Dan Nash gave me a long time ago when I was teaching, and they make great pieces for trying to figure out, you know, where is it? So, where is it? Now you get the clue, man. Remember, we're coming down the river from the Mascoma. And you know you haven't been to Lebanon Center yet, because, so.
Emerson Garden area?
Is it?
Emerson Garden area?
No, not you went there?
Riverside.
This is the railroad track.
Bank Street Extension. Bank Street Extension.
Yes, you're right.
The house in the foreground is still there.
Yeah, is it this one? One of these burned. This one's still there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's this? What was this whole complex?
That was in the original.
Excelsior Mill. This is the Excelsior.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, what, this part of it there, these two buildings, well, that stuff is still there too. All those buildings, I think, are still there. And this is still there.
Daniel's store.
There's housing in here. Daniels has some storage in there. But this is all piles of Excelsior, basically 4-foot wood piled up to make Excelsior. Excelsior, I found out what Excelsior was in would have been about 53. My brother was in the service in Germany and sent us back one of those, millions of clocks, the clocks with the dome on it that came from overseas and it's packed in Excelsior. It's wood that's been finely not ground, but stringy. It's stringy wood. What to say the process is, but that's Excelsior used as a packing material. And so this is all these pictures that have kind of this tag. You'll almost be able to tell without me telling you. Were taken 1929, 1930, somewhere in there. They're all from that tour.
So where is that?
This is Bank Street Extension. Right here, let me see, I think, not sure if I can quite see it, the old tavern stand right on the corner of, that big brick building. And they say, this building's still there. This one burned 20 years ago, something in that range. I know since I've been in Lebanon. And here, there's quite a little house development along this area. And there's more houses along here. Because I used to tease the kids at Maryhill Alley. There's at least 3 or 4 Maryhills that at least did live along there. I don't know if there's that many there now. But a couple more pictures from Torwood. This is looking back towards town. And the piles of wood. Excelsior Mill seems to be, it came here in 1903 and closed in the 60s maybe. I can vaguely remember coming down with my brother when I was a kid, bringing Excelsior, down here. Would have been late 50s, early 60s. Fuzzy, but again, a little close up to get a sense of the size of the wood. Pretty much, I think it was, if that's 4 foot, that may be more 3 foot wood. And more modern, this is just west of that. There's the pool, and there's a little dam that's right in here, right near the Excelsior, just downstream. There was a dam closer if you walk up there along the rail trail, and you look across the back of the Excelsior Mill, you can see where some of the timbers of the dam where they poured concrete around them, into the edge of the Excelsior. Just putting that same one back on, but again, remember that drop. This is downtown Lebanon, 1826. There's the river, there's the green, and the only mill, that's Bristol. And that's it, in 1826. I've got to get real close to see. Here's, let's see, some names that you might, there's Kendrick, Stephen Kendrick store. Let me see, what else is any other ones there that are even names even familiar with. Here's a wheelwright shop, but not connected with the mill. This is Mr. Parkhurst Grissom. And of course, let's see, in 1826, I think, I don't know if it says it, but that would be the townhouse. Because see, that was on the common, on the green at one point, and then was moved back. But the road used to literally just go right across it.
No tannery yet.
No. Tannery came in 1838, 1930, excuse me, 1930. Interesting to me about that, I've got some Lebanon high school newspapers from that time, and a couple articles about that, because two of the comics boys came to Lebanon High School. And there was an article about what this great new business is coming in. The class got to go take a tour. Of course, the tannery in those times particularly smelled like jobs. 1938. And as opposed to what it smelled like when I came to town in 71.
We used to smell it every Sunday when we went to church. The doors.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
We could tell we were there.
Yeah. So that's 26. And I know you can't see any detail, but here's 56. And you've got you know, all kinds of industry along that same spot. If I get close enough, I can just read maybe a few of the names. Let me see. We've got Foundry, Buck and Company, J.H. Buck Peg Factory, Buck's Machine Shop, Merchant's Sawmill, Door Sash and Blind, Sturtevant Furniture. I mean, they're just piled right in there. You know, each one of these little places is a mill of some sort along the river. Here's Water Street. Oh, no, that's not Water Street. Excuse me, that's Mill Street, the old Mill Street. Water Street would be down here. Looks like it wasn't there then. Some of you would know when I say that Dave Miller gave me this. A couple years ago, we found a guy who was a teacher here for a while. A guy used to talk about the history and left it to me. And again, I know the details are, but here's about 1930. Here's the tannery, or Mascoma Village Apartments in that area. Here's the, let's see.
It was Landers.
Good question. I don't know as I can, here's Huff Square. So let's see, the Catholic Church, I'll see, would be right here, but it's not built yet. See if I can read a few of those. Well, High Street, I mean, here's the corner of High Street, you get a sense along there. This was Everett, Norfolk at the time, you know, before the tannery was in.
Catholic Church wasn't there then.
I was going to say, I didn't.
Until 42.
Okay, right. So that would be right there, right? Isn't that where we are? I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. Here's, I think this is the Riverside Mill, Carter and Rogers, which would be Clean Laundry now. So you get a sense again of how that's begun to fill in. Is the Hildreth Block. What else have we got? Again, I think just visually you begin to get a sense of how industry is clustering around the river. Now by this time, the river is probably not being used for power, at least not very much. But you got to put all that stuff somewhere. And as Dan Nash used to tell me, all engineers know that the solution to pollution is dilution. And sometimes you want too damn diluted. Some of you know that a lot better than I. But, I always like showing this to students, although I don't know if I, since I've done something, I like to point out the Greek temple in the background. You know what that is?
Back Street?
Yeah, well, that's the junior high. You don't see it from that perspective usually. But here's the downtown. So here's where Whitman Press is now, or I don't know if he is now, but was at one point. The old mill building, Kenneth and Davis here, which is now Lebanon Supply, no, which is something else. Yeah. Here's where are we here? Here's the river is coming here. Okay. Here's the tannery area, Everett Norfolk Getting Mill. Let's see. Here's Hannum Street. Okay, that's the City Hall, the outhouse.
Is that a ball field up?
That's Eldridge Park.
Oh, that's Eldridge.
Yeah, that's Eldridge Park.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the junior high back over this way for us. That's Eldridge Park. That's would have been Clough Lumberyard, where the new CCD is.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, I remember when Clough was that.
Okay, yeah. I got a piece of board about this long and stenciled NP Clough. It's a piece of millwork.
What is that structure? Just go up that road, go back to the road. You're almost there. A little bit more to your right.
Right.
Down, right there. That almost looks like maybe the
That's
senior citizen home.
That's Curry. That's not Curry. That's the name.
Citizens Bank.
Oh,
National Bank. Oh, well, yeah, that's it, right. Yeah.
So is that Colburn Park? That
Well, this guy. You see, if you look here, see where Park Street is?
Mhm.
Now the road's like this, you see? After the fire, they realigned it. So you know, if you come up there, you come pretty close to coming right at Park Street, at South Park. So you've got, there's a lot here now that's never been built on, never been built on, has it? That would have been formed after the fire.
There's a gas station.
There was right in that area. Yeah.
So what year again was this?
Well, the fire that I'm talking about, 64.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I mean, what?
Oh, this is before the fire. So I'm thinking it's late 50s, early 60s. I mean, I'm sure that people knew the area well, could perhaps get it closer than that, but it's in that vicinity.
So is that Mascoma Savings Bank to the left of Citizens?
Uh,
Down,
Well, that's the city hall.
right? So
City hall, so it would be right in there, right?
that was just a little.
This is Curry's.
So
Yeah, Savings Bank's not in that.
It's not-
Savings Bank, would it be right along there?
Now it would, but it wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Granite State or somebody, wasn't
It was what?
it? Granite State Electric had an office.
Oh, they had an office in Hotel Rogers at one point, but did they also have a separate one here? Okay, back in this area.
Where Mascoma is now.
Oh, all right. So where was the Mascoma Bank? Jack, before, or?
I don't recall,
Okay.
you know, but they were there in the 50s.
Now, were they still at that point in the Lebanon Bank building, maybe? And I assume not, but, again, I don't know.
Yeah, they've been there a long time.
Yeah,
That's a different
yeah.
building.
Yeah.
I think they might have shared it with the electric company. I mean,
With the electric company? Oh, you think, okay,
I think there
okay.
was a shoe store, next door.
Was it Richard's Shoe Store?
Richards, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, here's the train track coming here. All right, train track in the river.
So basically, everything south of what we think is the electric or the Mascoma Savings, so down a little bit. So basically, all that area got wiped out by the fire.
This is what burned, it's along here, and along Mill Street, in this vicinity. I can't tell you exactly, but it's sort of in that, from the river back like up to here. Woolworths had put in a firewall not too long before this, and that saved that side of the street, as I understand it. And I don't know whether it was a firewall, must have been on the other side of the street too, because everything was, right up tight. This is a little broader perspective, and looking from the other direction, you're looking west now. And here's Copeland Park. There's, let's see, there's City Hall there. So the river's out here. Hard to follow it, but, and comes back down around. You see the other mills a little more. There's, let's see, this would be Clean Laundry. This would be Rockdale. What's that called? Rockdale Complex these days? Have stop thinking. River Mill Complex, yes. I knew Rockdale on the right. River Mill Complex.
Bank Street.
Huh?
Rockdale was down on Bank Street.
Right, yeah, not Bank Street. No, Mechanic Street.
Oh, Mechanic.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's, when I came to town, Rockdale was still going. It was a very cut rate department store.
Yeah, it was.
You had wooden bins and stuff, but, hey, so again, a little broader perspective.
So where's Hotel Rogers on there?
Hotel Rogers would be right here.
On there?
That's the town city hall. So I think that's, because that's a Soldier Memorial Building right there.
Yeah.
See, so that's Hotel Rogers.
Yeah.
Jim Vanier gave me a hotel key for room number 7 at Hotel Rogers a couple weeks
I was
ago.
a janitor there when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I polished every doorknob with that thing. I did too. $25 a week.
This is the Clough Lumberyard. Again, taken around 1930. I don't know prospective people that, I'm sure some people could look at it long enough and figure out just where we're looking, but this is roughly the site of the new CCP. I mean, that was the Clough Lumberyard.
Here's the railroad tracks as well.
Yeah.
And you've got some crack. The thing that throws you off is there was also some spur lines in there. So I'm not quite sure if that's the main line or what, but I mean, that's so just right off the downtown. There were 3 or 4 pictures of Carter and Churchill. which isn't there, this was down on, off
Packers.
Parkhurst, what's the other
Parkhurst.
street? Yeah. So this building, with a couple of pictures, this is, another picture of this, and this has gone down in my time here, so in the 70s, at some point that was taken down.
So that David Gallery here?
No, David Gallery's Carter's. See, there was Carter and Churchill.
Right.
And Henry Carter was the Carters. I want to say this is William, but I think they may have been cousins. But it's two different outfits. Yeah, I don't know.
They were in competition.
They were certainly in competition. Yeah.
Is this where the housing complex is now? They right by the edge of the railroad?
Yes, I think this next one.
I think that's Packer Street. Right?
I think I could, well, in two locations. This is still there. This is roughly at the corner. If you're coming down by the old CCB, going towards Spencer Street, this building is still there. It's been altered some. But this was a store for a private church. And this building there, this building's still there.
Yeah.
It's an apartment house. But to answer, I think my next picture will answer your question a little better.
That's it.
This is the old train station, freight station, where it's now housing, was rehabbed here, I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that. It's one of those deals where I don't know any details, but I have to believe that some of these historic rehabs, they might have kept one tube for. You know, I can't believe in an old freight station that they could kept a hell of a lot and make it into present housing, but I like the idea.
That's Packer Street right there, isn't it? Right there.
Right here,
Yeah. And the train station
it's back there. See,
It's not in that picture.
isn't that the old freight station? It's not the path, you don't think so?
I think-
Would be back this way further? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
If I'm.
Well, you may be right, again.
Yeah.
That's a run big.
Is that your bicycle?
Oh, yeah.
This is an interior shot. It's a picture that I got some of Carter and Churchill. Again, early 1900s, if I remember right.
Rollin, was it? Rollins, did they make that?
Well, they're making clothing here.
Overalls?
No, Carter is overalls.
So,
I don't know if these guys make overalls or not, and they're making clothing. You see, they're sewing the clothing, but I don't know. Carter is supposedly where the bib overall was invented.
Yeah.
Who knows what it was? Probably was invented about 10 times and once in every state around. But I mean, it's and I've got a few buttons. So this was a C&C Co. profile. I don't know when they started using it, but eventually they became Profile Manufacturing Company, and the Profile ski whip
Down in
was
Florida.
down on 12A. But this is an old button that has the C&C code on it, and the profile. I like the fact they've got the two together. Lane Winnell came to Lebanon, because his father, did he come to work for them, or did his father come to work for them? I almost think his father
I'm not sure.
came to, I don't remember for sure. Lane Winnell later became governor of New Hampshire, and was very involved in the bank for a long time, the National Bank for a long time, and gave the money basically for Roger Carroll to write the Lebanon history book, and certainly they donated, he and his wife, for lots of other things over the years. APD, I think, maybe quite a bit. And again, profile. I tried my darndest to figure out if this is anywhere near Lebanon. I took to lots of people, nobody recognizes it, but it was their brochure in 38, 39.
Not big Lebanon and snow there.
Well, so, who knows? I'm thinking it's up maybe in the west, but I think, if I remember right, looking carefully, that's a whole line of cars. So I think it may be somewhere near a ski area. So I don't think it's necessarily, right around here. But again, they've begun to make that switch to ski wear as opposed to work wear or whatever they're doing before. They what?
Around Franklin.
With the old.
Could be lots of places. And here's Carter. Here's Ava Gallup.
Yeah.
Okay. I like this one because you can see there's a loading dock in the back. There's a team of horses backed up and a wagon backed up there.
Telephone pole.
Yeah, you got poles.
A lot of elm trees.
Yeah.
A lot of elm trees.
It's going to be a Carver and Sons afloat for some. I've got, unfortunately, this doesn't have the names on the back, even though they nicely numbered them on the front. But I've got quite a few postcards of parades from, let's see, 1911, the 150th, no, that's not right. The 100th anniversary, 1911, the 1919 Victory Parade. What's the third one that I've got some fun? So anyway, and I've seen probably, well, the Historical Society's got probably 25 others, different ones that I don't have of parades, and often you have lots of companies that set up, with big floats. I've got a nice one, I didn't put it in here because it wasn't industry, but taken in front of Bridgman's with the International Ladies Garment Workers Union float there. And again, a car button with the railroad. They made apparently a lot of railroad clothing used the railroad used. I've got, I don't know, 10 or a dozen different buttons, either Carter or Churchill. One of their brochures. Forbes Company, Quarryville, Pennsylvania. And I've got a set of these hunting clothes back there that I bought a couple years ago. The old red checked pants. And then these would be familiar to this little notebook. This happens to be one that was made, but they would make a book and then they would, in some cases, they would imprint it. So I've got 12, 15 of these, a bunch of different years. Looking at one on eBay now, it's a year I don't have, and a different logo here. So Jack, leave it alone. I paid anywhere from 50 cents to quite a bit more for these, depending on what, they see around. They'll always have a cover, something like this, and the inside will be an advertisement, and in the back will be a calendar, and then just a little notebook in it.
Excuse me, what's this green stitch wearing card number?
Well, I think that why were they using green thread? That's what I've assumed, but I don't know, Tom. I don't think they mean ecologically good. So I don't know. And again, that's that signature bib overalls that again were supposedly invented here in London. This is roughly where the tannery was, where Mascoma Village apartments are, at Buck and Company machine shops. You remember back a ways a map that I showed you with Buck and Company. So it's in that vicinity along the river. I think the river is over here, but the railroad lost some of this is spur. Once again, I put this one in because this is one of the, well, I think that here's a Scientific American article, Buck's tenon, let's see, a double tenoning machine. So it's making for mortise and tenon construction. And here's an article in Scientific American 1873 about their machine. And I've got the magazines back there if you want to look at it later, the newspaper.
We have one of those, it's in the basement of the
Oh, that's right.
Soldier Memorial Building.
Yeah. This is back there. I do not know what it is. I was told it was a wagon jack. Well, I'm pretty certain it's not a wagon jack. I mean, it sits up, and this what happens is that this can go through here. This thing, you put it through the middle, and you can walk it up, and the centerpiece moves up and down, so you can walk it, about half an inch, 3/4 of an inch at a time. Problem is, there's nothing on the top to hold the axle. I don't think it's a wagon jack. And I've talked to the auctioneer who sold about 100 of these all at once. And he said they came from a factory, and he was told that they were to raise the windows in the factory, which made sense to me, because if you look at it, you'll see that it could fit in the, here's a big window, it could fit right in the under the edge of the window. But the thing is, if you can get the window up this high, why the hell do you need, you can push it up the other foot instead of having this thing. I don't.
But I think if you had that post there, that might have been installed, and there might have been full windows that were higher up.
Well, I know what you're saying, but I don't think it, tell me after you look at it, I don't think it would work because the window couldn't come down by it.
Right.
See, it's the way it fits in. So I don't know, but it's a nice, it's got a nice little manufactured and sold by, let's see, M and J.H. Buck, Lebanon, New Hampshire, who also manufacture all kinds of machinery for working wood, such as planing, tenning, and mortising machines, portable steam engines, portable grist mills, etc., etc. Martin Buck, J.H. Buck, and something Cushman, I think. I think it says somewhere. Oh, and Buckman. Now, there was a Buckman who was a doctor in Hanover around this time. So somebody suggested it might have had to do with hospital, with beds, to raise a bed, like to raise the head of the, think out with a hospital bed today. Not impossible to think about that, but I've not found anybody that knows what it is. I even got it in I think it's called New England Antiques magazine. I sent the guy an email and a couple of pictures, and actually put it in as a letter saying, anybody knows, I've never heard anything. I thought somebody's going to know what this is. But if so, they didn't read that magazine. But it's a nice little Lebanon thing, and I bought it from a jetty in Bethlehem who's related to the Lebanon Jets. He has a 100-acre wood antique place up there in Bethlehem. This is let's see, this is Marston's floor set machine. That's back there too. But basically, it's a machine, so when you're laying a wood floor, you notice here, you can put the piece down that you want, and then you pull that down and it studs up the piece of flooring, and you back it off, lay the other one down, and snug in the next piece of flooring. It's patented, and the only reason, it doesn't say anything on it, but I've got a patent number, and looking up the patent number, I know it's Lebanon. I got that from a guy in Springfield, I think it was. And luckily he looked at the Lebanon thing, so I wouldn't have any idea what it was. Just a little bit of a sense of what Lebanon looked like maybe its heyday. This is the foot of Water Street, is looking back up the river. It's a little hard to pick up, individual places, but we begin to see some of the mills. That's the Whitman Press building, so Kendrick and Davis would be right along here. This would be, let's see, Clean Laundry.
You got a cemetery.
There's a cemetery. You can see where you're taken from Source Hill probably. I mean, this is roughly the time probably when schools were out for an hour at lunch and the kids went home, ran home, got dad's dinner pail and took it to the mill. And then came back, had their dinner, and went back to school. Another one of those aerial photos. I'll let you look at it, figure out where it is. There are several places. Well, actually, there are less places there that aren't. There are quite a few places that aren't there anymore. But there's at least one landmark that's still there.
Church at the top.
Yeah, that's Catholic Church.
So it's High Street and then,
Here's High Street.
Yeah,
Here's the river.
yeah.
yeah.
So that's the tannery, Everett, Norfolk, Guinea Mill, the tannery.
So that's not a real old picture then?
Again, I think this is 63. I think if I remember right,
Because
that's
like I said, the Catholic Church is 42.
40. Yeah, I think that these aerial photos were all, I think, 63.
Yeah.
And there's Mill Street, which of course all gone. And let's see, what is it? Right in here somewhere is where the fire started, or was started. I can't remember exactly where it is. That old blacksmith shop.
So was there a real concern when that fire broke out that if those flames got to the tannery, that there would have
Well,
been a major explosion?
If it had ever gotten, I don't know about explosion, but if it had ever gotten across the river, I mean, Katie by the door, it seems to me. Luckily, the wind didn't shift, did bring it across the river. See, it wasn't too far, something, there's the dam behind the tannery, when I say the tannery.
Are those chemicals very explosive that they use?
Well, it must have been lots of chemicals, there would have been lots of hides, lots of good stuff to burn, and just to build it, just looking at the building. If they'd gotten there, could they have kept it from jumping here and going up the hill? I mean, it was certainly enough of a disaster. It didn't really do anything with people's homes. I don't know if any homes were burned. I don't think so. That's not right either. Because again, it was basically from here, kind of up through here. Wasn't a whole lot beyond this picture that was burned.
What was where the Lebanon Mall is now?
Right, where the mall is now, yeah. But again, up as far as the Woolworths, 11 College. And let's see, well, it burned almost involved, because that was McNeil's.
The style shop.
The style shop, okay.
Couriers,
Yeah. Didn't burn Curry's.
and good couriers.
No, so I mean, stopped right in there somewhere.
Did Landers?
Landers, they got Landers.
Yeah, I think so. That was back this way, the old Landers, not, yeah.
That's Verizon store was right near Landers.
Okay,
A
okay.
cousin of mine had a little store there,
Yeah,
and that went in the,
Yeah.
it was right on the edge of the river.
yeah.
That went in the water.
Was that when Landers moved out to 120 after the fire?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got a stencil that I bought, it was something that was from a mill in Hillsborough, being sent to the style shop in London. An address stencil, that they use
Oh, yeah.
to send. Don't have any idea what they were sending or anything, but it wasn't much, so I had.
So that little Huff Park triangle or whatever, is it still there, isn't it, in front of the church? It's like just a little...
Yeah, there had been a fountain in there, and that's not there. But see, it's somewhat different, it's realigned a bit.
And the white outside.
That was right there, is that right out?
Yeah,
Right, and Hershey is right along here, right?
yeah, right there.
See, now the road goes out around a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got the place coming back and around like this. I guess this was Hershey's, right? Or,
Yeah,
I think.
right there.
Same place, isn't it?
Yeah, KFC is right here.
Casey, right there. Yeah.
Where was split mall?
And see, now, all three of these buildings gone? Where's Kindlewood? Is that Kindlewood or is that Kindlewood?
One on the corner is still there. and that's-
This one's still there?
Hill's still there.
Wait.
Yeah, but is that that?
Yeah.
Melissa's.
Further along the corner, I think it's.
Because most of these are gone, right?
That one on the corner by the church is still there.
Oh, that one's still there,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Yeah, that's still there.
a couple
But
of
That's
apartments.
yeah.
But there are 2 or 3 of these that are gone, and I can't remember whether.
Bowles Heath was there,
Yeah,
and Bashaw's grocery store.
Yeah.
They took that out,
Right.
that's where that little
I
fountain
got the little
is.
fountain in there now.
Yeah, that was,
I can remember when those buildings were all still there.
they
but-
were really fall down, it's a good thing they.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is an old dam, I don't know if it was the first one, but roughly in behind the cannon. Upstream from the cannon. This was probably the first dam, well, there was a dam out in the area where Forward's garage is, or maybe back further. There was one more dam between the lake and downtown. But then I think this was the next one. Because again, remember that diagram? You're roughly right where that started.
Yeah.
So excuse me, Jack?
Right where the new swimming pool is a dam within sight distance, that one's still there. And
Oh, that's right, I forgot, yes, I had a picture of that, yeah, of course,
That's
that's
to
it.
go swimming. right?
Yeah, so this is down ways further, this is,
Yeah.
across here is U-Haul, and that area along in here, that's where you're looking.
Then you said there was a dam at the Excelsior Hill also, right?
Well, that's a little bit not, it was one of the dams, yeah, we've come to at least 4 now.
A lot of those were small and they broke.
Yes, yeah.
They broke through the years.
This is looking downriver, the edge of the dam would be right along here, looking towards the, probably, well, would have been the Everett Norfolk Getting Mill at the time, because it's before 38. This is one of Torbett's 1930 pictures, or probably 1929 pictures.
There's the Kendall building.
That is right there, okay.
Yeah. That chimney's still there.
Yeah. Yes, that's the one right there in the parking lot there now. This is where they made, as I would like to tell the kids, ladies unmentionables.
Oh,
Yes, so we won't be mentioning it.
You never said that in my class.
You weren't listening.
Did Torbett take all these pictures about the time of his,
Well, this guy Torbett took them for that thesis. Again, he had over 100 pictures, along with, he had about 20 maps. I had 8 or 10 of the maps blown up about like this, and sometimes it would take, we'd go 3 or 4 class periods to get through, you know, put kids in groups and look at those maps and answer questions, talk about it, and it was generally, I was fascinated, some of them were. This I like, it's looking back up, his well, Everett Norfolk on the left, the camera, looking back up at that dam. Or maybe, it may have been a different dam, but roughly that spot.
Same house.
Okay, yeah, so I think it's roughly, so it's. But what I like about this, and I'm not quite sure how to interpret it, it says, I spent my worst days in this place. Now, I don't know if she worked at the Norfolk, or if she means in Lebanon in general, but let's see, received postal, this is the river. You were going to sail. However, you were going to sail a while ago. Thinking of it, did you see a card from Laura? They are married last night, but not one, but no one knows, no one knew it until today. I don't know whether she is, the word's not pregnant, but I don't know what it is. You know, it's these great, you know, that's one of the great things about collecting cards. Sometimes you just get great stuff off it. And I'm thinking that the person worked in the Everett Norfolk and didn't like it. But maybe it's just, you know, the town of Lebanon at the time, who knows?
Well, if the tannery smelled like it did when I was a kid.
Well, this was the knitting news. This wouldn't have been as bad. See, that's what they're making the ladies unmentionable. Now remember that.
Make sure to mention that.
Next time you're going to mention that. And this is still Everett. You can just see Everett knitting mill is what it's cut off a little bit. You can see it, what it looked like. I suspect, I think the Everett is gone by now, because if you look at a close-up, you can see the windows look pretty decrepit, and it had sat idle, I don't know how long, but for a while there in the 30s. I say in 1938, the school newspaper was exulting over the fact we've got a new business in town. Well, yeah, damn it, they had probably 150 jobs in 1938. So they weren't worried about the smell. Donald, and I can't think of the other two, but there were 2 brothers, Cummings brothers, who were the boys who were in school at the time.
yeah.
And here's that area looking downstream. Right here, you're looking at the forebay where the water used to go in the dam. So that's at Mascoma Village Apartments. And some of the old foundation work for the Everett Norfolk and the Tam.
So that's the view you'd look if you were standing on the bridge.
Standing on the bridge, you just look, yeah. So the Catholic Church is back over here.
Yeah.
Riverside Mill, where Whitman Press, the Whitman Press building is now.
Water Street.
On Water Street, yes. So coming this way, Fellows.
I can remember that when it looked like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, those were there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And of course, with the building then on this side.
yeah, that was. oh,
That building's gone, and if we go a little bit further up, like where we see that white part, would that be now Central Supply?
No, Central Supply would be here.
Yeah.
You see, it would be down this side.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the Whitman building, and then they just took down this part. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in the upper part.
So actually, Central Supply is right, kind of right, maybe that replaced some of that, right? Does
Those
that make
doors
sense?
are still there on this end,
Which is still there?
bottom level.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Central Supply isn't in that building.
They would be back this way, downstream a little further.
Yeah, that's where the key shop was.
Key shop, yeah,
Hendrick.
yes, Kendrick Davis,
Yeah.
yes.
that's a wreck, was it abandoned there for a while, the windows are all broken?
It looks as that, doesn't it? I mean, but I don't know.
Yeah, it stayed up there a long time before they took it.
Okay,
On the
here's,
other side.
this is the key shop, right? You have
Yeah.
Kendrick Davis. Now, one of my prized little possessions is this little thing. I'm gonna, well, no, it won't work. I should have, if I thought, it's, you won't be able to see it, I know. Well, I really want to turn the lights on. But it's a screwdriver sharpener made by Kendrick and Davis. So I saw it online, and it's in a nice little box, so I don't open it very often because the box is a little fragile, but it's a nice little box. It's Kendrick and Davis, Lebanon, New Hampshire, gives the number and everything. Screwdriver sharpener. So I got it, looked at it. How the hell do you sharpen a screwdriver?
We're just sitting there.
Well, I'm here to tell you. I'll hand it around.
I got a couple of ditch shots.
This is looking downstream. So on the left is, here's that Kendrick Davis building. That's the lip of the dam. And you're looking downstream from the bridge here over the Mascoma. So here's the equipment press building, the Riverside Mill building. And this is where the water went into that building. So at some point, they certainly used a lot of water, probably for power. I don't know how long before they ever switched to steam. Maybe they never did because okay. Here's what that thing is. That's the little box it came in. Number 41, 45 screwdriver sharpener. All right. Well, that's precisely my words. Well, here you see. Okay. Look at the top. What you do is you put the screwdriver through this thing, it holds it, and then you can wheel it back so that the screwdriver sharpens on a whetstone. Like you've got a stone here, and if you think about it, you've got the screwdriver pushed through that hole, and so you can roll it back and forth and sharpen the screwdriver. Because, see, Kendrick and Davis were famous for making, well, they were particularly famous why it was called the key shop.
Yeah.
Making, yeah, I'm watching you, making dust-proof watch keys. Okay, so you had the key to wind your watch, your pocket watch. Well, it had the key you carried in your pocket, so you could wind it. Well, what's in your pocket? Lint, dirt, crap. So you pull the key out, and it's full of that. So you try to put it in the watch, and then you get dirt, to help the job. Well, somebody at Kendrick and Davis had the idea. Okay, we'll take that, let's say this is the key. We'll bore a little hole right through here, so you pick it out of your pocket. Okay, now it fits right in there. A dust-proof watch key. That's where.
They made some nice stuff down there.
I guess, and they were famous for making watchmakers' tools.
Yeah.
I mean, people that made the Swiss watches, a lot of those companies use Kendrick and Davis tools
Yeah.
to make those
Did
watches.
they get bought out, or did they just go out of business?
Is it still, Roger Wood had it for, I mean, it was still for a while, but Ray, what,
He still owns the building.
he owns the building, okay.
And they were still producing.
They
So
were up until
manufacturing.
about, probably the mid-70s.
Is that right? But now they're out of business now, yeah.
He just rented the space.
Jewelers.
Yeah, yeah.
Small precision.
And then I think
Kendrick and Davis.
Kendrick and Davis, again, there's a close-up, you can see how the little watchmaker, the little small screwdrivers, would go through that, and the reason that moves it is that clamps it, and then you could just, because it's on rollers, you could, roll it back and forth, and it would move the head of it back and forth on the wheel, not the wheel, the little, I call it bicycle, and that sharpener.
Huh.
And then I've also got these things, and these aren't, they look monstrous there, but that's the box. Again, it's a little fragile, so I don't take it out of the box, but it's a bunch of balance screw cutters. Now let's see, what did somebody tell me these were? It had to do with the inside workings of a watch. And the guy was saying, well, he said if the people that made the watch didn't know what the hell they were doing, said you had to do a little work on it, but it was basically something that would work on the innards of a watch to make whatever needed to balance. But it's just a nice little set of tools that were made here in Lebanon. A couple pictures just on the river. So this is looking back up. You used to go out, you probably can't, still around the end of the key shop of Kendrick and Davis Central Supply, and look, kind of lean out and look back up the river, and as you're looking back up to where the bridge. I don't know if that was ever a covered bridge. I don't think so. The two sides were covered, but the bridge at foot of Benton Hill. And this is where the 1887 fire started. seems to me it's on this side of the river in some wood tailing, wood, not tailing, wood sawdust. This is, I think Judy got from the Facebook page on Lebanon. This doesn't do somebody's current picture. I mean, it's just, I think, a great picture down the river, you know, just standing on the bridge,
I walked across that.
looking down the river. You walked across that?
Yeah, I've been across
Yeah.
that.
And that's still there, right?
It's still there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they allow anybody to go across.
Probably ain't supposed to. I don't know if you can even get it, you know, who knows? I'm sure they've got both ends, you know, barricaded up some.
Yeah,
And that's the LWM, that's Clean Laundry now, Lebanon Woolen.
yeah. So that's taken right from the bridge.
Right from the bridge, you see this looking. This was only taken a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Now, this one ought to be easy. That's what we were just looking at.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, where we're at, here's the river,
Yeah.
here's the Benton Hill Bridge, K&D, Whitman, Clean Laundry. All right, let me see now. Railroad track coming along here, so, Mechanic Street, yes, Mechanic Street coming down here.
Yeah.
So Pete and Rogers, Dairy Twirl is right along, let's see, I've forgotten, right along here somewhere, I've forgotten just where. Down here a little bit, I think, because you pretty much look right across at the smokestack. Same thing, just looking the other way. Here's that little walking bridge across the river, coming into do people call that the eddy, or am I making that up?
I think that.
Did you enter that term?
I've seen it on postcards.
Seen cards with it's called the.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. And this is, Great Brook comes in right in here. If you remember on that profile, Great Brook was kind of at the end of that drop. So it was, it was 70 feet roughly from somewhere here back up to that first dam. So not a very much linear distance to get downhill pretty fast. And of course, I suppose that, I don't know if any of these big mills ever used the water power directly. I doubt it. That grist mill probably did in 1826. But these mills, to the extent they use the water power, would use it to turn turbines. You know, I'm sure that then generate electric power. You know, I would expect.
Throw the waste in. And throw the waste in.
Yeah, well, yes, and the solution to pollution is dilution.
So in the bottom of the mill, of the River Mill complex, where you can see those big overhead
Yeah,
pulleys,
yeah.
those are actually run by electricity rather than water power.
I think so, but they generated, but they generate, at least they did. They generate their own electricity. I don't know if they do now. They reworked that dam up when they were building River Mill and generate electricity to run, you know, but it's the, and I think at some point, probably initially was probably more directly belt driven, and then became, I don't know anything about the history of it in that sense. Here's the River Mill complex. That dam, you know, line there that they rebuilt. And there's the smokestack there at the River Mill. Again, looking towards West Lake.
Is it the rail line paralleling?
Yeah, up here, right, yeah, it's up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it's up on the hill there. And just a close-up of that, looking in the opposite direction. And the dam. That smokestack. This is, Larry Coffin got it somewhere, put in one of his articles about mills. I know it's Lebanon, I know it's that mill, but I don't know just when. I think it's relatively early. Taken from across the river. A couple of these from the Historical Society, you can see a close-up of this tower and I'm not sure what this was for. It's not a smokestack, but I don't know. And then working inside that mill, somebody in there. Again, I don't know. And this is a great picture. Again, it came on Facebook that somebody took relatively recently. You know, it's a wonderful picture. part of that area, Sideville. So this is going, here's the underpass in Lebanon. This is where Country Woolin, no, right? And then there are those famous folks that live right up here.
And the old Slayton Farm.
Yeah, going up Slayton Hill, this is where the Legacies live, just about off the, not much off the map there. But this was, and they had Dulac, okay, a couple of Dulacs back, but that's the Dulac, or one, or would be the area, you see.
There's still the remnants of the dam.
Excuse me?
There's still the remnants of the dam. When you go across the bridge and you look to the
Right, yeah. Oh, that's a different, for a different dam, but you'll get, there used to be a gas station there.
So I'm sorry, what's this Skyville?
Sideville, it's a, side to, and they made this, I don't know if that's where Mascoma Edge Tool was, I don't see it on here. So I'm not quite sure, but it was.
That's where it got its name now.
I mean, there was a side factory, they made, probably they made it side, they may have made the handles and the snaps and all the stuff that went with it.
So they bought the place in East Lebanon, but didn't move out there, they continued.
I think so, if I remember, I think they bought the Emerson company.
Every other competition.
Yeah, I don't, again, I don't know any details, but I just think it's that. I think maybe in Roger's book, it may say, Roger Carey, when I'm talking about the history of Lebanon, what's it, 20 years ago now, we did it, but something along those lines.
Arthur, what's the building up on Mascoma Street? What is it?
Henry something. I don't know.
Looks like it was a large.
1780. It's
Yeah, so it's perhaps an old, would it be,
Yellow house.
that's not Catherine
No.
Roth's place, no, okay. Yeah.
Is that big yellow house that's right by the underpass?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, see, here's the underpass.
Yeah, this big yellow.
So it's probably that house that's right there,
Catherine's
okay.
house would be to the.
Catherine's would be one more this way.
Yeah.
All right. So APD is up in this area now. All right. Let's see, this says school district something. I can't tell, school district.
Oh, right, if
It's,
you walk up the hill toward the cemetery, on the right, the old school building is still there.
oh, okay.
It's turned.
Oh, up here, oh, that's right, sure,
It's
sure.
turned
So,
close now.
yeah, that's right, right up on the corner there. Yeah. Yeah, this is one from one of those 12 maps. Okay, we're gonna, well, I won't say it yet.
This is where Rollin Pool is now.
Nope. I'm gonna let you swing a little bit on this one if you don't get it. Somebody may know where it is.
Densmore
That's why-
Brook.
Yeah, you got it. I was gonna say, we're going away from the river, this is Densmore Brook.
Yeah.
Here's where the cable place is. Comcast cable. So the school is just over here. Wasn't, well, it would have been there, yeah, sure.
Yeah, right in there.
Yeah.
Because you never think of this being such a big place.
No. Again, I think this is 63, 18, 19. This kiln is still there. Maybe one of these others is still there, I'm not sure. This is piles of bricks. No, out there, Brian.
Of course, the interstate, right?
The interstate is right here. See that building still, that's that building, that's the cable company.
We ran that sunlight right through the five-floor colonial home of the Densmore.
Oh, is it, okay, that's
We had the
right.
house set to get around it,
Yeah,
and I said, then let us do.
and they didn't,
And that it came.
yeah.
Wasn't there also a big fire, big forest fire right about that?
I think up on this side hill, is that,
You see that tree line?
yes, I've always thought there's a tree line there.
Striking tree.
As you look behind Densmore,
So did that hit the brick?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
You think that sharp tree line is due to the fire?
I think so,
It's very
I think, yeah, oh yeah, it's so pronounced, you can see it. Now see, this is the pond, Densmore Pond, that was Densmore clay pit. I mean, it's a pond because that's where they got all the clay. It's the reason the brickyard was here,
Yeah.
because here was a good source of clay. And the reason the clay is there is the glacier 20,000 years ago. This was the edge of glacial Lake Hitchcock. And so for hundreds of years, as everything came rushing off the glaciers, or after as the glacier is retreating, comes down and this fine silt deposits in here. So you've got the clay to make it a brick.
So is there still clay in that pond? or
I
is it just-
don't know how far, whether they dug down to get all of it, I don't know. I don't know how deep the pond is.
You had to dredge it out for underwater.
Oh, no, well, I mean, I say oh no. It was a clay pit, so I'm assuming, It seems like it must have filled in as they were digging out. I was telling Jack, my knowledge of a lot of these is like the Platte River. You know, the Platte River, they say, is a mile wide and inch deep. That's about, you know, a lot of things I don't know about these things. But I do know that was the clay pit, you know, where they got initially. And they were here in the early 1800s. I've got a couple of pictures of them.
Didn't they go out of business in the 80s?
That sounds right, yeah.
90s.
I would say 80s maybe. And I think the last 20, 30 years, I'm not sure they were actually making brick here, but they were feeding brick in. They were a jobber, I think.
Have you ever seen the video that someone made called?
I have not seen it yet.
Oh, you should.
Ed gave me a copy, but I haven't seen it.
Very good.
Yeah.
And
A lot of people who work there,
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, this is part of the art.
It's called a hand of brick. They would have, they would hold 4 bricks and they would throw them to the next person. And the next person had to catch them. And then stack them. And they call the movie a hand of brick. It's just an awesome video if you have a chance to see it.
It was not uncommon for there to be a fire, because here is where they're firing the brick, you know, before they had those rounds, and so sometimes things would get a little hot. I've seen at least one other picture, looks about like this, it's a different picture, you know, so I know it happened at least twice. This is 1906, it says, yeah. See, here's all the wood they're using for the fire, to fire them. There's a pile of brick, you see there, that have been, I presume been fired and are drying, and just got a little shed roof, you know, over a pile that just keeps the standing water off. And here's one of Torbett's pictures of the brickyard, looking kind of back up on the hill. That's all those long, those linear piles of brick with the shed roof.
They were made, they used a lot of those for like Baker Library and.
Oh yeah, they were.
Came from.
That was
fabulous,
A lot of dark buildings.
Yeah. This is a copper mine up on Farnham Hill. I don't know time period, just looking at it, I'm betting mid-1800s, maybe a little earlier, but it's one of the historical society pictures that Ed gave me a copy of, so I can put with this. And a lot of towns around New England had, you know, little lines at various times that somebody had big ideas, and most of them didn't go anywhere, but you had a little something. This is another picture this picture of the granite works. There was granite quarry up on the back of the hill there opposite the high school. Jack, I'll bet you go up there sometimes. You ever go up to the granite quarry as a kid? You must have.
A long time ago.
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago when you were a kid.
A long time ago.
But this would be where they dressed some of the stone. In other words, brought out the raw stone and cut it into some amounts. And see, here's a crane. You can't see all of it. There's the upright poles. Here's the lever of it out there. This is one from the Historical Society. Pink granite. Lebanon, famous, had a lot of pink granite. I can't think of that. Just tell me some of the places. Quite a few well-known places that got granite from Lebanon.
Is he literally sitting on the granite?
Yeah, and he's got a grain sack or a pillow or something, so he can sit up there and drive it in. Yeah, that's one big piece of granite he's pulled up.
What a slab.
Quite a slab of granite.
Looks like it would crush the leg.
Yeah.
Of course, it's out in the hall.
It may not be too wide, so you don't know it's hard to quite see how wide it is. It may be, you know, relatively narrow. Well, I'm kind of staying away from the river. Again, one of Torbett's. This is over in West Lead along the railroad, back where they had some of the gravel works, and they would bring the cars right under here where they could load the freight cars with gravel. And then a couple of pictures that Torbett has. There's a gravel bank along there in West Lead somewhere that they're working at. There's a couple men up there to get an idea of scale.
Is this in the area where that Iron Horse development is going to be?
Yeah, I'm assuming so, somewhere in that vicinity, yeah. and then just a couple guys shoveling into a truck. And Ed had this one, pipe that was 12 there. I don't know if any of that building's still there or not. I think well enough, you know, what it looks like out there.
That's finished mountain of the end.
Yes,
So on the other side is the dump, I'm sorry. land.
yes, landfill, yes, yes. That's like in Orford now. The dump road is the town shed road. It's a dump road. Again, thinking of other industries, Dana's stock labels in West Lebanon. The thing I like about this is a catalog. The thing I like about this is that some of the people he was selling to, William Rockefeller, Tarrytown, New York. And my favorite is, where are you here? Well, I can't find it, but I know he's on there. Edward the Seventh, Sandringham. King of England, is buying his basically we've got these ear labels, you know, things that went in the ears of animals to keep track of, you see? And this is well, that's a hole punch, a bull nose, you know, to punch a hole in the bull's nose to lead him, because you kind of want to hold the goat where you want it to go. That's a lot better.
I think Ed's got one.
Ed just bought one of those not long ago, yeah.
He showed it to us.
Yeah.
We want to give the ladies some new earrings.
Yeah, well, I don't know why they would step right
How
in.
they go along with it.
I don't know just where this was, but it was in Lebanon. And I've got one of these catalogs, and I just got another thing the other day with a little different piece of literature. But you see this around on eBay. What's the
Was it Dana's stock label?
Dana, well, Dana, I think, what's the name of, wrong line. C.H. Dana.
No, but it says Dana stock labels. So-
Stock labels, yes, yeah, yeah. And then, you know, one of the biggest industries in a sense was the railroad, and this is a picture of the machine shop at, I think was in a portion of the roundhouse at West Lebanon. Oh, I was gonna get the names of those guys, I was gonna read the names. Let's see, left to right, 1951. William Godfrey, Fred Thibodeau, Ernest Howard, Frank Crow, Ignatius Carver. I thought I might get a relative. I mean, certainly names, a couple names that are familiar enough. All right. Now, if I just had another end to this, that would advance the slides. Two more sections here. This section is the electricity section. So this is, well, it was various things, but at some point, Grafton County Light and Power, I think it may have had a Mascoma name at some point, became Granite State Electric, became Liberty Utility, you know, anyway.
National Grid.
But this, National Grid, yeah, this is where it started. This is behind Dulax. So Dulax is up in here. Now, some of these buildings are gone. But, 2 or 3, here's when they're putting in penstock from the dam. As Marie was saying, you look down, you go up Slayton Hill, and look to your right as you go over the bridge, and you can see the remnants of the dam that this penstock was coming from. It wasn't more than, I don't know, it was 100 feet, maybe 150 feet.
When we surveyed the interstate, we had to go, the penstock that I saw, this looks like it's a steel one.
That was different. You mean on the Glen Road?
Ours was a wooden one.
Yeah, in the Glen
And we
Road.
had to bring a ladder with us, we couldn't climb under it. You had to get the other side to go where the interstate.
Oh, yeah.
Behind Flanders and Mack.
Yeah.
We had to get a ladder and climb up, and
Sure.
pull the ladder up, put it down the other side. It was about 10 feet high.
Yeah. Well, it's not quite that, the total height, yes, but I've got some pictures, and you'll see within the cradle, it would go up that high.
Yeah.
To get over it, you'd have to go up that
I
high.
was waiting to see,
Yeah, and they're coming.
but that looks like it's made out of steel.
This is steel, yeah, it certainly is, because
Yeah, and
this was in the 80s, and I'd love to show these. That's my kids, when they're about 10 and 6. I don't know if they still know I'm showing them or not.
I'm sure you put it on Facebook, we'll find us.
I should put it on there. I don't think either one of them will, but they don't anyway. But I get to give a sense of the height.
About 5'9".
Yeah, so it's about 5 feet, you see.
Huh.
I've also got one, I couldn't kind of work it in here, of them standing in a pothole out of Devil's Kitchen.
I think Kelly would actually pay good money for that.
No, she might. You see, Glenn says it was clear, I was beating him up.
I was gonna say.
Probably I beat him up so he'd stand there so I could take a picture. This is the dam at Slayton Hill. I mean, that you, and here's what's left. Okay, you're looking downriver. Back here, you were looking kind of sideways at it. All right. So the penstock came right out under here. And again, I don't think it's 150, maybe 200 feet from there down to where the. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Let me back up. Penstock, full of water, generates, goes into a generator that generates electricity. Same idea as Wilder Dam, same idea as Grand Coulee Dam, you know, any of them. Same concept. And this is where the first one was. It was these string of dams and generating stations. This was the smallest one in terms of output and yeah, the smallest. Now I'll leave that for a minute. Some of you have seen that scene. Not too many of you. That is still there. There's nothing of this left. A little bit of foundation maybe. You're looking from a bridge that has been named within the last few years. From the Dorothy you know, that's the one, Terry Dudley Bridge. This was the power station. The dam that was when I came in Lebanon, that dam was still up. Now it's almost all gone. It's gradually been, beaten down. But there was a power station here.
That's looking downstream or upstream from the Terry Dudley?
This is looking upstream. So you're looking back. This is what I knew as a Goodman farm, back over towards that development on Old Pine Cemetery Road.
So to our right and out of the scene is Flanders and Patch.
Yes, Flanders and Patch. Yes, sure, exactly. Yeah. I mean that's the Mascoma, coming along. This I like because you've got the power station, but it's a little hard to see. Here's the bridge here. Here's the railroad. You've got the river right here, but there's also, you can just barely see another road coming in. At some point, you came along, Old Pine Tree Cemetery Road came along underneath here. If you look in the wintertime, if you're going by Flanders and Patch, you look to the right there, you can see where there was a road. When there's a little stone around, you can just see the outline of the road right along the edge of the river.
There's still a little ramp-like bridge though. Is that part of the old?
That went on the railroad track.
Oh, okay.
That just took over, to get to these mills, essentially. This is looking back up. This is the railroad bridge, and this little dam here was put in so that the railroad could. There's a little building right over here. The railroad could have water for the trains. Now the water, I think, went in there and then was pumped down to West Lebanon, to the Westbury Yard. And Mike Romano says that there's still water pumped there. I'm not sure if it goes to the Westbury Yard or goes, but anyway, he says there's still water, still that line is still good coming through there. So the Dudley Bridge is up here. That's the concrete piles for the Dudley Bridge. So it's up here. Okay, this is the railroad bridge. And then if you look down from it, you can just see this little, as you're going over the Dudley Bridge going towards Lebanon, you can just see this little dam. It's what, 2 feet there. Just enough to have a little water there so you can bring it into this little building here and then pump it.
You have to pump it up over Cemetery Hill and back?
No, you're going right along the river.
Is it okay? Like Glen Road.
Yeah, now, I've got a better picture than I couldn't find it. So this is the best I've got. This is along the Glen Road. Where the dam is now on the Glen Road, that was the big dam as far as electric power. So there was this building there. think that's gone, isn't it? Across the river, you're going along Glen Road, I think that's gone.
Yeah.
But anyway, here was the forebays where the water went in. And then here is the concrete where the penstock is coming in. So for a while, it's in concrete, the one you're talking about, Jack.
Yeah.
But it's in concrete at first. It's on the side of the river, away from the Glen Road. Then it goes under the river. Now, there's the dam, right there. And now it's coming along. And as Jack said, it's like a silo laid on its side. That's wooden.
Yeah.
It's probably about 5.5 feet, because I've had a picture, not a very good one, of a person standing inside it. So maybe it's 6 feet diameter.
I'd say, but of course, you can't climb over it.
Well, but you'll see in a minute why it was higher for you, Jack. It sits in cradles. So to get up over it,
Yeah.
you see, it would have been 8 to 10 feet.
Yeah.
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 And this is looking down towards the powerhouse. I mean, the powerhouse mall is called
It's
this.
still there before the interstate
Yeah.
is built.
Yeah, oh yeah. This is built,
I don't think there's any of it left now.
I don't think there's any.
now.
it was still there when I came to Lebanon, but I vaguely remember it.
When was that previous picture taken, the photograph? Horrible.
Well, this was taken after I came to Lebanon, because I think Dave Dancock took these pictures for Lebanon history, for part of a project. So it's early 70s, mid 70s,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
A kid took these, if I remember right. And here's a picture that they saw. You see the leaking, you know, well, you can't, that's the pylons, but there are, I've got, this is one, I've got one, it's leaking all over the place.
Yeah. It was in pretty bad shape.
Yeah. This is the most intriguing piece to me. When I came here, this wasn't around in 71. I don't know when it came down, but not too long before that. But all that was left was base. I'm going to say pretty close to as big as round as this room, maybe roughly that big around. So you have this big base, concrete base, probably a foot and a half thick, with open apertures every 2 or 3 feet around it. Then there's probably a space of 5, 6 feet. And then inside, there was a base that looked like a wooden silo. And I didn't know what the devil was going on. Well, I finally found out. This is called a surge tower, or a surge tank. This is a safety valve. The top of this is about 65, 70 feet. Because the drop from the dam along the Glen Road to here is about 60 feet. Well, if they had a problem in the powerhouse, and I haven't got a good picture of the powerhouse either, but here's is it Anna Keating now? You know, the one building that was still there at the powerhouse as you're going to Louis, the one on the right. Yes, that's kind of right here. That was the powerhouse where the generators were. If there was a problem there, and you wanted to shut off the water, you got almost a mile of 5 or 6 feet of water. Bad things would have happened if you just shut off the water. So what you got to do is hopefully the telephone line's working back up to the dam. You got to get it shut off up at the dam, and then the water would come up this surge tank. It would come up the inside of that tube and come back down around, and it would equalize, you see. Because that's roughly the height of the dam. That's why I say, you wouldn't think there was that much drop in the road, but roughly, when you're there by the Glen Road, dam, you're roughly that much higher.
And it was just the force of gravity.
The force of gravity would,
That pushed the
yeah,
water.
would push it up. You know, I don't know if they ever had used it, but I mean, it's basically a safety valve. I think this is one, see the wrinkle? You just barely see it. Ed Drake took a few of these pictures, and then Charlie gave them to me to use in my class. So this is Glen Road, you know, right here. You know, and the back of the powerhouse, and a couple people fishing, you know, off the foot. That's a parking lot now, you see. And then the last piece of industry, off the Mascoma, but in Lebanon, obviously Wilder Dam. I want to kind of show you the town of Wilder. But I've got some kind of neat pictures, I think, that some of you may not have seen in this area, so I've got to plunk them in. Before there was Wilder Dam, before there was any dam there were rapids. And so you had to have canals to get around, so there was several locks. like, the Panama Canal being, but, to raise and lower boats. And some of these are now underwater. And Ralph, I think you told me once that you had seen some of these when you were scuba diving. Have I been making that up all these years?
Good story.
Story. I don't know. We dove on the river right up
By Wilder Dam?
off the canoe club.
Yeah,
And what amazed us was the river was pretty dirty.
yeah,
Then you go down the bottom.
yeah.
The bottom 3 feet were perfect.
Huh? Yeah. Well, you can see, this is roughly where the Wilder Dam is. I mean, some of this, but I think there's a little bit of one of these left, just downstream from the dam. This is on the New Hampshire side. This was called Olcott's Falls, a guy by the name of Mills Olcott. And here's the dam there before the present Wilder Dam. You'll see it was a curved dam. Here's the Lebanon side, that's Mount Lebanon. Here's the paper mills. There was a paper mill on the Lebanon side and a pulped paper mill over on the Vermont side. Eventually it was owned by IPC, the National Paper Company. Another look at that dam. You can't quite see the curvature there, but this bridge, this was a walking bridge you brought the pulp across from the Lebanon side to White River. And you'll see.
Excuse me, at the bottom there, is that the year? Is that 35?
No, it's some publishers, they put numbers on their cards. I've never found enough that made any sense to me. Obviously, it means something to the publisher, but no, it's just, I should think this is teens, maybe. I don't quite know, early 1900s. This is a pretty good picture. The dam it isn't an L shape, but it does a pretty good curve, which you're looking toward the Vermont side. Some of these foundations are where the boat ramp is over in Wilder. I mean, you can see along in that area some of the concrete foundations. And it says a pedestrian bridge, 1883, so those tracks in the middle, again, they have those little things that I think they pulled by one horse. Fill up, I think of it as a hopper cart. I've never seen a picture of it. Like an ore cart, to bring that pulp across. And this, I think, has got to be when they were taking it down. There's clearly a later picture, and part of it is gone. So I think they're removing that bridge.
That's the new dam behind
No, that's not Wilder Dam. Wilder Dam is downstream, and I don't know whether they were. I mean, I think there were at least 2 dams on roughly this site. Again, I don't know enough about it. The guy that knows this stuff is Jay Barrett. There's a great website. That's where I took a few of these from. Do Wilder, Google Wilder or Wilder Dam. He's got a lot of nice pictures of this area. Wilder is called Wilder, the village of Wilder, because Charles Wilder owned this complex. And people in Wilder and Lebanon had wanted a bridge across the river there instead of having to go to Hanover or down what's left. Neither town was interested in building a bridge. So somehow it was worked out that Wilder would pay for a bridge being built if they named the village after him.
I've read that in the book.
Okay. Well, I'm here to tell you, Jack.
Yeah.
So this is the bridge. This is looking downstream. It's actually 2 bridges. You've got the bigger span here, and then this little island, and then a smaller span. And this is one of my favorite pictures. There's the bridge. I think Ed Ashes told me that he remembers going across that as a kid. So it was there until while the dam was built. So into the late 50s. I don't know. Well, they took it down. Probably took it down as they're building Wilder. I think it's in that. And this is when I think they're taking down the old dam in the process of building Wilder in that whole time frame, which is 48, 49, 250, 2 or 3 year time frame.
Was this dam built simply because the power company decided they wanted to generate power at this place?
Well, they had been generating power quite a while, but the Wilder Dam could generate so much more because it was somewhat higher and more efficient turbines. I've got 2 or 3 booklets over. I just got the other day a booklet. It's the record by the Vermont Commission of the testimony about Wilder Dam, about building Wilder Dam. And so this, but basically they simply wanted to generate a lot more power. This is now, the present Wilder Dam is again downstream from all of that. So here's what it looked like before, and here's when they're building the dam. So this is the Vermont side. They've got a coffer dam in there. They're just building the coffer dam so they can start to build the site of Wilder Dam on the Vermont side. And again, you know, there were a couple of good articles in Vermont Magazine in the 49 and 50 about building the dam. There were a few interesting pictures of the dam, just a sense of what the dam looked like. These are the turbines. So again, you get an idea of, I mean, these were the same kind of things that were in the dam, in the powerhouse on the Glen, down on the Glen Road. You know, the little one behind Dulax, but you know, a little bigger. And these are probably pretty minuscule compared to the ones that are in something like Boulder Dam or you know, Grand Coulee or something like that. And essentially, water hits these veins, turns very fast, and turns a generator and generates electricity. And that's the that's just a nice look at them. See, the old dam was back up here. This is where the old bridge, that bridge was.
Where East Wilder Drive comes down now.
So where East Wilder Drive is, yeah. But see, they went here because it was narrower, you know, and you didn't want to have, they were still getting some power from that older dam, and plus, if you'd taken that out before, you know, it made sense to be in a little different spot. We're done.